Hearing God with a new lifestyle. Pause, seek, and wait. When I attended church back in my high school days, I noticed most sincere followers of Christ experienced brokenness in their lives, either major sickness, loss of loved ones, or experienced major devastation. This observation matched what Jesus taught in Matthew 5, 3, and 4. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Their spirits were low because they were mentally and or physically crushed, and were at the end of themselves before they earnestly sought and found their personal relationship with Christ. The path for most people to hear and find God is through affliction, or I call it the trigger. In our affliction, we push ourselves to try our best to find a solution. This was meant for us to find our limit. As we are unable to overcome the situation with our best effort, we would finally give up on trying and come to the end of ourselves. This would begin our self-humbling process. As we hunger and thirst for God's help, we ceased our own effort, knowing that only a higher power can help us out of our situation. We surrender willingly now because we've already exhausted all options and was finally able to rest from ourselves, leaving everything to God. As I understood this path, I made a mental note for myself to always learn from the afflictions of others. I prayed to God for gentle nudges instead of affliction and promised that I will always pull myself back into surrendering and find my Sabbath in Him. The path of affliction to find God was a reactionary lifestyle I didn't want. I want to be proactively pursuing His will, and He showed me the life of Christ, an obedient and proactive life in Father. I used to think Jesus died on the cross for us because He loved us, but was surprised to find that Jesus actually died on the cross for Father because Father loves us. His death was the only way to reconcile us back to God. I was also surprised to find His claim that He can do nothing in Himself, but He does what the Father shows Him. He judges according to the will of Father. He speaks as the Father told Him to speak, and that we are able to see Father through seeing Him. Wow, my beloved Jesus did all because of His love for Father. I want to be like Him. I want to live my life like Jesus, do and speak as He shows me to do and speak. So the goal was clear, to do and speak as commanded by Jesus. But a realistic self-examination was needed to assess how far I was from my goal. I started the process by setting reminders for myself throughout the day to check how much I operated in my will versus His. I found myself operating almost exclusively in my own quick decisions, with the exception on the major and more difficult ones. I was far from my goal. I realized I was fighting against my instinct to control all circumstances, and as my days are packed with decisions for myself and others, I spared no time to seek His will. Time then is the key. To counter it, I had to make conscious effort to pause before I make my decisions in myself. Once paused, I trained myself to seek for His will and had to control myself from moving with my emotions or inclinations and wait for His guidance. This was very difficult to instill in my busy schedule, as it's extremely counterintuitive to how I was trained and practiced as a CEO of a company and a helicopter mom. Pause, seek, and wait is the weapon against the Jezebel in me, directing my own will. The training to pause, seek, and wait paved a path for me to hear Him and abide in Him without the trigger of affliction. The affliction to humble us and to bring us close to Him. This was the lifestyle I adopted, and I attest to its effectiveness in tuning myself to the broadcasting channels of God. I learned that as I pause and seek for His will, this is the act of my surrendering to Him, and is the key to tuning off the antenna broadcasting from myself and people around me. Waiting for His will means we desire Him, and it serves to tune the antenna to God. God answers and directs our path when we seek His will, as Solomon also attested in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. As I focused on seeking his will in my life, he brought to my understanding the fear of the Lord. From there, I found God was not stingy about teaching me his wisdom and understanding. He answers my questions and made clear on how they relate to his precepts and principles. King Solomon also shared the same testimony as he wrote in Proverbs 2. When God speaks, what does he sound like? I've actually never heard his voice. When he spoke with me, they came in 4 different forms. Words displayed in a vision, sentences were like a message impressed upon me, and events, a flash download of events to play out with understanding, and words from my own mouth as I witnessed Christ. I heard God as I adopted a new lifestyle of pause, seek, and wait, thus allowing God to direct my life. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer.